Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Go to Premalandi.
Astatatar Shata Shri Shri Maharaj Divine Grace, Hesi Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa, Parivrajacharya, Astatatar Shata Shri Shri Maharaj Divine Grace, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Prabhupada Ki. Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki. Founder Acharya of ISKCON, Srila Prabhupada Ki. ISKCON Guru Vrinda Ki. Prem Shakaho, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Shadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki. Shri Shri Radha Krishna, Gopa Gopinath, Shamakund, Radhakund, Giri Govardhan Ki. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki. Shri Mayapur Navadip Dham Ki. Shri Jagannath Puri Dham Ki, Shri Varanila Madhava Dham Ki, Bhakti Devi Ki, Muna Devi Ki, Ganga Mai Ki, Shrimati Tulsi Marani Ki, Samaveda Bhaktivinda Ki, the most merciful Lordship Shri Shri Nitai Chaitanya Chandra Nitai Gaur Chandra Ki, Shri Shri Giriraj Govardhan Ki, Shri Shri Radha Giridhari Ki, and the most beautiful Lordship, Sri Sri Varanila Madhava Ki. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijanavalabha Ivadai Gopijanavalabha Ivadai Gopijanavalabha Ivadai Yashodanandana Bhajajanandana Nandana Bhajajanandana Yashodanandana Bhajajanandana Yashodanandana Bhajajanandana Yashodanandana Bhajajanandana Yamunatiravanachari Yamunatiravanachari Jayadha Madhava Vindavihari Jayadha Madhava Vindavihari Jayadha Madhava Vindavihari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Jayadha Madhava Vindavihari Jayadha Madhava Vindavihari Jaya Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivajagacharya Asatara Sata Sri Shrimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasvatim Vyasam Sojayamadirayet Nasaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistaki. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 14, texts 41 and 42. This chapter is entitled The Disappearance of Lord Krishna. So I guess I'll chant the first verse by myself, and then we'll chant the second one. Kachit tvam brahmanam balam gambridham roginam sriyam Sharanupashristam sattvam natyakshi sharana pradaha kachitvam brahmanam balam gambridham roginam striyam Sharanopasristam sattvam natyakshi sharanapadaha kachitvam brahmanam balam gambridham roginam striyam Sharanopasristam sattvam natyakshi sharanapadaha
Kachitvam brahmana balam gambridham roginam shriyam Sharanoparshitam sattvam natyakshina sharanaprada Kachitvam brahmanam balam Gamridham roginam shriyam Sharanoparshitam sattvam Natyakshin sharanam prada Kachitvam brahmana balam Gamridham roginam shriyam Sharanoparshitam sattvam Natyakshi Sharanam Pradha Kashitvam Brahmana Bhalam
Satitvam Brahmanam Balam
Gamriddham Roginam Shriyam
Gamvidam Roginam Sriyam
Para Sharanopa Parshratam Sattvam
Varno Pasasam
Natyakshi Sharanam Prada.
Word for word, Kachit, whether, Tvam,
Tvam,
yourself,
yourself,
Brahmanam,
Brahmanam,
the Brahmanas,
the Brahmanas,
Balam,
Balam,
the child,
the child,
Gam,
Gam,
the cow,
the cows,
Vidham,
Vridham,
old,
old,
Roginam,
Roginam,
the disease,
the disease,
Sriyam,
Striyam,
the woman,
the women,
Sharana Upasristam,
Sharana Upashritam,
having approached for protection,
having approach for protection,
Sattvam,
Sattvam,
any living being,
any living being,
Na,
Na,
whether,
whether,
Ajakshi,
Atyakshi,
not given shelter,
not giving shelter,
Sharana Pradaha,
Sharana Pradaha,
deserving protection.
deserving protection.
I'll read the translation, but one of you can read the purport. You are always the protector of the deserving living beings, such as brahmanas, children, cows, women, and the diseased. Could you not give them protection when they approach you for shelter? Somebody read the purport.
The Brahmanas, who are actually engaged in researching knowledge for the society's welfare work, both materially and spiritually, deserve the protection of the king in all respects. Similarly, the children of the state, the cow, the deceased person, the woman, and the old man specifically require the protection of the state or a Kshatriya king. If such living entity do not get protection by Kshatriya or the royal order or by the state, it is certainly shameful for the Kshatriya or the state. If such things had actually happened to Arjuna, Maharaj Yudhishthira was anxious to know about these discrepancies.
So we'll chant the next verse also. Kachitvam nagamo gamyam
Kashitam nagamo gamyam
gamyam vasat kritam sriyam
gamyam vasat kritam sriyam
parajito vata bhavan
parajito vata bhavan
notamir nasamai pati
nattamer nashamai pati Kashitvam nagamo agamyam
Kachitvam nagamo gamyam
agamyam vasatam kritam striyam parajito vatha bhavan
parajito yata
notamer nashamai pati.
Please read the translation.
Translation. Have you contacted a woman of impeachable character? Or have you not properly treated a deserving woman? Or have you been defeated on the way by someone who is inferior or equal to you? Purport. It appears from this verse that during the time of the Pandavas, free contact between man and woman was allowed in certain conditions only. The higher caste men, namely the Brahmanas and Kshatriyas, could accept a woman of the Vaishya or the Shudra community, but a man from the lower caste could not contact a woman of the higher caste. Even a Kshatriya could not contact a woman of the Brahmana caste. The wife of a Brahmana is considered one of the 7 mothers, namely one's own mother, the wife of the spiritual master or teacher, the wife of a Brahmana, the wife of a king, the cow, the nurse, and the earth. Such contact between man and woman was known as Uttama and Adama. Contact of a Brahmana with a Kshatriya woman is Uttama. But the contact of a Kshatriya with a Brahmana woman is adama, and therefore condemned. A woman approaching a man for contact should never be refused, but at the same time, the discretion is, as above mentioned, may also be considered. Bhima was approached by Hidimbi from a community lower than the Shudras, and Yayati refused to marry the daughter of Shukracharya because of Shukracharya's being a Brahmana. Vyasadeva, a Brahmana, was called to beget Pandu and Dhritarashtra. Satyavati belonged to a family of fishermen, but Parashara, a great Brahmana, begot in her Vyasadeva. So there are so many examples of contacts with women, but in all cases the contacts were not abominable, nor were the results of such contacts bad. Contact between man and woman is natural, but that also must be carried out under regulative principles so that social consecration may not be disturbed or unwanted worthless population be increased for the unrest of the world. Continue? Okay.
Why don't you read the second one? Second paragraph.
It is abominable for a Kshatriya to be defeated by one who is inferior in strength or equal in strength. If one is defeated at all, he should be defeated by some superior power. Arjuna was defeated by Bhishmadev, and Lord Krishna saved him from the danger. This was not an insult for Arjuna because Bhishmadev was far superior to Arjuna in all ways, namely age, respect, and strength. But Karna was equal to Arjuna, and therefore Arjuna was in crisis when fighting with Karna. It was felt by Arjuna, and therefore Karna was killed even by crooked means. Such are the engagements of the Kshatriyas, and Maharaj Yudhisthira inquired from his brother whether anything undesirable happened on the way home from Dwarka.
Yananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Militamena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Upakadamayam Jadati Swapadantikam Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pracharane Navishesha Shunyavani Paschacha Deshatarane Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Tamo Krishna Goswami Nityanamane Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So the verses again, the translation. Maharaj Yudhisthira is talking to Arjuna. You are always a protector of the deserving living beings, such as the brahmanas, children, cows, women, and the diseased. Could you not give them protection when they approach you for shelter? Have you contacted a woman of impeachable character? Or have you not properly treated a deserving woman? Or have you been defeated on the way by someone who is inferior or equal to you? So Yudhisthira Maharaj noticed that Arjuna was very despondent, and somewhere it was described that in an earlier verse, verse 39, it was described that Arjuna, he lost his bodily luster. And Yudhisthira Maharaj asked if he was sick or why has he lost his bodily luster. So oftentimes when someone loses their bodily luster, they've done something inauspicious. Like there's description in the Bhagavatam of Chitraketu Maharaj when he, with any anxiety to have a son, and he finally had a son, and the queen that gave birth to the son was very much favored by the king, and all the other wives in the Vedic culture, the Kshatriya kings were allowed to have numerous wives with the goal of having a good progeny, a good son that could carry on the kingship. So, but the problem was that the co-wives of the wife that gave birth to a child, they got envious and they killed the baby. It was described that when they killed the baby, they lost their luster also. Also, we've read about Ashwatthama when he killed the 5 children. This is a very heinous act, and it was described that he lost his luster also. When the wives of King Chitraketu, the go-wives, they lost their luster when they killed the baby also. So Arjuna has lost his luster, so usually that's associated with something that's unfortunate or inauspicious. So this is being asked of Arjuna if he... in the verse we're reading today, it mentions 5 other things that Arjuna might have done wrong or been deficient in. So these are: did he fail to protect the brahmanas, the children, the cows, the women, and the diseased? The Kshatriyas, like Arjuna and also Yudhishthira, are supposed to protect the brahmanas. And usually when they're following religious principles, they do. But sometimes this is not always the case. So Parashuram had to come and destroy so many Kshatriyas that had swayed away from the Dharma of protecting the Brahmanas. So this is, the Kshatriyas give wealth, the Brahmanas, it's in the form of cows and gold and silk and all kind of fine things, and jewels. So the Kshatriyas are supposed to protect the Brahmanas, but some of the Kshatriyas, like King Vena, they really deviated from this principle. Not only did they not help the Brahmanas and serve the Brahmanas, but Vena, caused so much trouble. Also, when the Muslims took over India, there was a number of Muslim emperors, especially Aurangzeb, who not only didn't help the Brahmins or serve the Brahmins, but Aurangzeb killed so many Brahmins. It said that he gave a sort of a reward for the Brahmin threads of Brahmins that had been killed. You know, like if you get an ounce of Brahmin threads that Brahmins have been killed, you get an ounce of gold as reward. So I think Aurangzeb was also the one that he got envious when he saw when Aurangzeb's, I might have Aurangzeb mixed up with some other bad Muslim ruler, but when they saw the temples in Vrindavan, especially the Radha Govinda temple, was very high. And I believe it could be seen from where the Taj Mahal is, that area. So Aurangzeb ordered that the top of the Radha Govinda temple would be knocked down, which is quite a, to build a temple is a huge endeavor, but even to destroy it, like now you see some buildings being knocked down so that a new building can be built, but now we have these big tractors that can knock down the building pretty fast. But this was solid stone, I don't know how many levels high, but it was a really amazing temple. And so anyway, so the Kshatriyas are supposed to protect the Brahmanas, but in Kali Yuga often they harass the Brahmanas. Also, children are supposed to be protected. And but in Kali Yuga, many would-be mothers who get pregnant, rather than protect their child, they perform an abortion, and they kill the child. So if Arjun would have sort of saw a child being abused and would not have sort of stepped in and said, "Stop doing this," then that might have been a cause for his despondency if he would have failed in that duty. Also, protecting women is mentioned in this verse also. So, one aspect of protecting women is usually the parents will help their daughter find a decent husband. So if a devotee doesn't, if somehow their daughter doesn't get married to a decent person, that's considered failing in a duty. Or if Arjun would have seen some man, harassing a woman when he was traveling to Hastinapur and had not protected her, that would have been a fault also. Also, it's described the diseased. So even though the material body is temporary and not the most important thing, it's valuable, can be used in God's service. So it's considered sinful to neglect the body. Of course, we sometimes think the body is mine, so I can do anything I want with it, but it actually belongs to Krishna. And so if some disease is coming, without getting totally into the body. Just like you have a car can take you to different places to serve Krishna. So you don't have to necessarily be a great mechanic or really be all excited about the car, but if you don't keep it running, it'll affect your service in a negative way. So protecting someone, ourselves if we're diseased, or helping another person if they're diseased, giving them a ride to the hospital, or helping them acquire medicine if they don't have the medicine. Kshatriya would help in that area also. So we saw a presentation on the hospital in Mayapur. So, just to have some, Prabhupada criticized some swamis that didn't promote Krishna consciousness and only made hospitals. But there's nothing wrong with having a hospital along with Krishna consciousness. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he wined and dined some British leaders that were in India to get them to make a post office in Mayapur, just to help Mayapur fulfill the prophecy that Mayapur would be a place where the Lord, amazing a Buddha mandir would rise, and so to have a post office is a mundane thing, but related to Mayapur, to bringing people to Mayapur, it was Bhaktisiddhanta took that responsibility. So in ISKCON's a young movement relatively, and it's grown in amazing speed. I mean, like the Prabhupada's preaching is really miraculous how in just a few years since he started traveling when he was about 70, it's amazing how he was able to spread Krishna consciousness. But so it's relatively a new movement, and our movement has responsibilities to protect the brahmanas, children, women, and disease, also old people. So our movement has not been perfect in this. I mean, some devotees are very Brahminical, but they're not always recognized for that. I mean, I heard that Sarvabhauma Dasa was very Brahminical, writing so many books and preaching so nicely. That for some period he had, I think, some other job, he couldn't maintain himself for a while just by his preaching and his research. But some senior devotees realized that he was very valuable, so they made some arrangements so he could get some financial, ability to be full-time with his preaching work. But that's not always the case. I mean, I remember Mahatma Prabhu, Shiva Nilamadavaki, Mahatma Prabhu is quite Brahminical. He does a lot of preaching and makes a lot of devotees. He's now a spiritual master. He does nice kirtan. But at one point, he's married also, so he couldn't always do fully Brahminical quality activities to maintain himself. So he would go to he came to the U of H and sold his jewelry. The vendors can rent space at U of H. Him and his wife were selling jewelry, for a few years. And, he was trying to preach and he wanted to do seminars, but, it wasn't so set up in ISKCON. So because he was intelligent, he finally figured out some way to support himself and his wife. And now he does seminars, and I don't think he ever made any money with his kirtan CDs and tapes, but, So ISKCON has not always done a totally good job of sustaining brahmanas. I know Krishna Kripa was a very dedicated pujari, but at some point he had a few kids and he had to get a job, but he never gave up his puja at home, and so we can't always expect that an institution will always be perfect. But to the degree that the institution aspires to help in all these areas, that's good. But it's not, we can't expect perfection. As people have karma also, which is, our karma is independent of the organization we're in. It's interrelated, but if someone has really bad karma for health, ISKCON can't make them healthy. ISKCON might provide some guidance to go to this doctor, and so anyway, so these are important areas, and if our society succeeds in, giving some shelter for brahmanas, some protection of women. I didn't mention cows, but that's also a big area, and ISKCON has done a lot of cow protection, but also there's a lot we haven't done. So, there's always room for improvement, and ISKCON has at least tried to protect cows. So many others, swamis from India, they have done hospitals and different things, but ISKCON's done quite a bit for cow protection, and any devotee that's an individual, some devotees that not, like, there's some devotees here in Houston that have a farm. They have some cows. It's not part of ISKCON of Houston, but it's, I don't know how far away, I don't know how far it is from here, but it's, not so far, maybe an hour drive or something. So, the next verse mentions, have you contacted a woman of impeachable character, or have you not properly treated a deserving woman, or have you been defeated on the way by someone who is inferior or equal to you? So sometimes women in ISKCON have not been always treated so well, and but women have made wonderful contributions. Yamuna Devi and Malati and so many amazing women. So if Arjun would have mistreated a woman or got involved with a low class or sinful woman, this might have also led to his despondency. So in the Bhagavad Gita, it mentions how the purity of women is very important. Can you go to put up 140, Bhagavad Gita 140? In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Adharma bibhavat Krishna pradushanti kulastriya shishu dustasu prashneya jayate varnasankara. Can someone read that, the English?
When irreligion is prominent in the family, O Krishna, the women of the family become polluted, and from the degradation of womanhood, O descendant of Vrishni, comes unwanted progeny.
Read the next verse, not the purport.
An increase of unwanted population certainly causes hellish life, both for the family and for those who destroy the family tradition. The ancestors of such corrupt families fall down, because the performances of offering them food and water are entirely stopped.
Next verse also.
By the evil deeds of those who destroy the family tradition and thus give rise to unwanted children, all kinds of community projects and family welfare activities are devastated.
So, in the 9th canto, if you go to 9.18.5, there were some examples of the ideal thing is for Brahman man to be married to a Brahman woman, and a Kshatriya to have a Kshatriya wife. But sometimes there's a mixture of a combination that's not the normal. There's a story in the Bhagavatam, also the Krishna book, about two Mahajis, Sharmisha and Devayani. And Sharmisha was a daughter of King Yayati, I guess, and Devayani was daughter of Shukracharya. Shukracharya was a Brahmana, and Yayati was a Kshatriya. So these two girls were friends, Devayani and Sharmishta, and one time they were near a river or a pond, and they decided to bathe in the river, and when they were bathing, Lord Shiva came by, and then they quickly put their clothes on, but they accidentally mixed up the clothing, and I think the Devayani may have been quicker to get dressed, so she grabbed Sarmishta's clothing, and so Sarmishta, being a Kshatriya, she got angry, and she insulted the Kshatriyas, and she pushed Devayani into a well, and then at some point King Yayati was doing touring and traveling, and he came near the well and probably heard some screams and calling out for help. So Devayani was still naked because she didn't get her clothes on as fast as Sharmista. So the king, helped her out, and he had a top piece of cloth which once she got out of the wells, she was dressed. But when he grabbed her hand and helped her get out of the well, so in the Vedic Indian culture, if someone holds the hand of an unmarried girl, it was a kind of unofficial marriage, or it meant that the girl couldn't associate with any other man. She had to accept that person as her husband. So this was, there's different types of marriage. So when it's a mixed marriage, if the husband is a Kshatriya, it's considered pratiloma. It's called pratiloma if the Kshatriya marries a Brahmana who's the best thing is called anuloma when the Brahmin lady doesn't marry a man of a lower caste. So the woman usually follows the man. So if a Kshatriya lady marries a Brahmin, that's considered okay because she'll follow and she'll get some of the Brahminical qualities, so she'll be progressing. But if a Brahmin woman marries a Kshatriya, that's considered, she'll follow and get some of the qualities, but these are considered lower modes of nature qualities. So if you could just you go to 918 verse 5. Okay, the purport. So according to the Vedic system, marriages between Kshatriyas or between Brahmanas and Brahmanas are the general custom. Marriages sometimes take place between different classes. These marriages of two types, namely anuloma and pratiloma. You can go a little further. So usually the mixed marriages are not allowed. So Maharaj Pariksha was curious about how Shukracharya, the powerful Brahmana, could accept the principle of pratiloma. You can go for it. Next verse. No, go to the purport. The next verse with the purport. Yeah, go to the next one. I'm sorry for the... Anyway, what I'm trying to find, there's a verse that describes that sometimes there's not a perfect combination, but there's a certain type oh, 7:11:30. I'm sorry. So when a mixed caste marriage is also called antyaja, and there's a certain type of mixed marriage where they still follow the four regulative principles. That should be on the 918.5, the purport. And this seems to be what, like Prabhupada, he wasn't excited about it, but okay. Go up. If marriage, right there. If marriages sometimes take place between different types of classes, each marriage is of two types. Skip that. Go a few lines down. Keep going. Anyway, I guess I'll just explain it. I can't find the exact. So, Prabhupada writes that there's some mixed marriages where the husband and wife, they follow the regulative principles, the four regulative principles. And that's called ante basaji. And that seems to be in ISKCON because everybody's very mixed up in Kali Yuga, and ISKCON devotees sometimes get married, and they may be not even in the same race, let alone the same caste, and it's hard to figure out who's a Brahmana in ISKCON or who's a Kshatriya, who's a Vaishya. There seems to be no ideal Kshatriyas in ISKCON, and a few Brahmanas that are, totally Brahminical. But Prabhupada explained in one of these purports that there's certain kind of, I guess in Kali Yuga, it's allowed to have a mixed class marriage where they follow the religious principles. And Chanakya Pandit said that you can find gold in a filthy place and a wife from a bad family, a good wife from a bad family. So in Kali Yuga, although things may be mixed up, Prabhupada made certain adjustments, and to promote ISKCON, he allowed women to be involved even in deity worship on the altar, and he allowed people that weren't of the same social level to have marriages as long as they would follow regulative principles. And so in Kali Yuga, Haranam eva kevalam kalanasya eva nasya eva gatiranyata, that the holy name is the main Yuga Dharma, and Prabhupada was very practical, and he was able to, he wasn't a smarta acharya, he was smarter than a lot of the acharyas. He was very smart that he took the pure teachings of Lord Chaitanya and was able to spread them all around the world. And Prabhupada, was very practical, and he wrote books, amazing books, but he also very vigorously preached, established temples, and so these are some points. Anybody have any comments? Questions? Yes.
Well, in Kali Yuga, according to the Srimad Bhagavatam, we're all born less than Shudra, so pretty much we can marry anybody we want, right? Or
Yeah.
in other scenarios, we can marry whoever somebody else wants us to marry. Or do we have to really get into the social understandings of who everybody is before we get involved in anything?
I mean, Prabhupada himself, he helped arrange some marriages in the very beginning, but didn't always work out. So then Prabhupada stopped doing that at some point, because people from the West, they don't have the idea that marriage is a service, and the enjoying spirit is so strong in our upbringing that so many couples that got married in the early days of ISKCON, probably the divorce rate was no better than the general society, or maybe even worse. So Prabhupada, there were some good examples, like Burijan and his wife. I mean, it was an arranged marriage, and she was a movie star, and her visa was running out in America, and so Prabhupada arranged her marriage and sent her to Hong Kong to get married to Burijan. And even though, very difficult, it was very difficult to preach in Hong Kong, but they remain married to this day. They preach together. They're wonderful devotees, and but ISKCON now has some ministry of marriage or something like that. Some of the devotees from Canada came here and had seminars to try to help devotees that might at some point have to be in that situation, and so ISKCON's trying to improve. ISKCON is like, we're in the shower, we're getting clean, but not all the dirt has come off yet. So so there's a lot of cleansing we still need to do. Clean up your act. There's this phrase. So we have to clean up our act individually as individual members of ISKCON, and ISKCON as a society has to clean up its act and improve, and but Prabhupada's books are the basis. So if we are confused, we should study his books and associate with devotees that are living the principles in his books, and help others get the books if possible, and just to come to Bhagavatam class is a good thing for all of us. And it's described that even if the person who gives the class is not the greatest speaker, there's some value in coming to the class. So, there's very few spiritual movements that have a class every day or 2 classes every day. And most sermons that most sermons in churches don't have question and answer periods. ISKCON has, the person giving the class has to answer questions sometimes, so it's more interactive, and it's actually a better way of education. Just so. Any last comments? Okay, thank you very much. Kantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki.